Shalom everyone, Shavua Tov, and we are in Parashat BeShalah, very powerful parasha because we have so many extra super special stories in this parasha. So let's see what is this parasha made of. So first of all, it's the parasha is starting on chapter 13 in Exodus, verse 17. And it speaks about Paro, BeShalah, when he Pharaoh sent the Israelites away. And if we know that Pharaoh, we can look at this story as history, tradition, like something that happened in the past that affected the history of mankind forever. We can look at it this way. Or we can look at it as this is our personal story of getting into freedom from slavery to our own limitation. How do you call limitation? One of the ways to call it Paro, Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh in Hebrew is the same letters of same even word as Hafra'ah, disturbance. What kind of disturbance do we have? Pain, remorse, low self-esteem, bad memories we can't overcome, bad ego, all kinds. We have so many disturbances. Why? Because a person can be super intelligent. As long as he has those disturbances, his natural potential won't come through. Won't be because he has disturbances. So, how do you let your Pharaoh to send you away? You have to plague him. He's not and I say it everywhere, all the time, never happens that somebody really reached a very high level in anything good, sitting on the porch in front of the ocean, drinking pina colada. Never happens. Okay? In order for something great to happen, you have to go through the hard work, right? And no pain, no gain. It never happens that a baby will come out in between the contractions in labor. The baby has to come when contraction is coming. This is the time to push. And if you're complaining, you're not pushing. It's like you have to give up the complaining and go on pushing, because if you're not pushing all the way, it doesn't come out, and then you'll have to wait for the next one. And the next one till it's been done right. Okay? Same thing about a human being delivering himself out of his own Egypt. And that's why it's called a deliverance. Giving birth. The first thing say a lot of commentators, the first thing that happens when starting the contraction to show that it's deliverance is starting, blood comes out, right? Here comes the first plague, it was blood. After that, screaming. And the second plague was Tzfardea. Tzfardea means a frog, but the commentator is saying, but that's a symbol for the 70 different noises a woman makes when she is giving birth. Okay? Tzfardea, the Ain. Okay? So many codes. All of that stuff, it's about the pain you have to go through, and then finally, when you are done, Pharaoh sends you away. Which means when he realizes he's done, he will release. And then we said it, I gave it a few times the example. They say there are no atheists in the foxholes. In the foxhole, when the shells are starting to fall really close to you, and your body realizes it's over with, suddenly your body wakes up and says, hey, Neshama, soul, where are you? I'm handing it over to you. Do something about saving us. Right? And suddenly the person who was an atheist, all his life, he doesn't believe in this nonsense of God and stuff like this, he starts to pray. Why he's praying? Because Pharaoh sends the soul away. The body consciousness realized it's over with. Okay, come over, Neshama. Maybe you can save us. Not maybe, you should save us because I'm finished. So, when is it that It's not that the person has no soul. A lot of people we say, oh, this guy has no soul. Everybody has a soul. Simply the question is, how strong is his pharaoh? How strong is a body consciousness? How strong is all those disturbances? You know, you're trying to talk with somebody and the guy is full of pain, hatred, venom, greed, so much noise. He can't hear the soul. So much noise. So the person looks like no soul. Oh, there is a soul. But the soul is somehow deep, deep buried behind all of those noises and disturbances and curtains and shells and stuff like this that the person did not overcome yet. He will, or she. Why? We have no choice about that. Everybody has to go through his own Egypt, his own deliverance, his own pain and hardship, till finally the body says, okay, you're in charge. Okay? So either you wait, either we wait for that to come, or we say, you know, let's make a shortcut. Okay? Let's get our body serve the purpose. The purpose of the divine. Let's get our body tired to do what? To do something good for someone else. The body doesn't like it. The body, our body conscious, like it when it's done for me. But for somebody else, not just that it's weird. It's not normal. It's crazy. You know, why should I do something for somebody else I don't really know? He will never give me anything in return. Okay, you hear that? Who's speaking that? Your own private little pharaoh or big pharaoh. Depends how much you fed him all along your life. By doing something for somebody else. Okay, so Vayi BeShalah Paro et ha'am. And we said last week, was a great parasha also, that the 9 first plagues, they just came from above. The Israelites were simply passive, bystanders. They could side this way or that way, nobody asked them anyway. But on the 9th plague, here comes the last blow, and God says to Moses and to Aaron, tell the Israelites, now you have to step up. You bless the new moon, you start learning the power of the mouth, controlling everything. Destiny, zodiac signs, which means whatever you say you should follow, then you realize you can really make things happen. Because the more you believe in the power of the words, your words, the more power they have, especially for you. Okay? That's one thing. The second thing is take the symbol of the Egyptians, take their lamb, and tie it up in the house. When the Egyptians are looking and they don't dare even, because you do it with so much guts, they won't dare even get near. And then full moon, twilight, bang, slaughter the lamb, roast it on open fire, eat it with matzah and maror, and here comes the huge EMP power that knocked Pharaoh and Egypt forever and got the Israelites delivered out. Okay? So that's where we are right now. On that day, the Israelites are coming out. What was the message last week? The message last week, when you want delivering yourself out of the bondage of the narrow box called Mitzrayim, Egypt, you need the power of the divine. You can't just pull yourself out of the box by yourself. You can go to 1,000 sessions in psychiatry, psychology, whatever. You're just regurgitating the same pain all over again. You need to pull the power from outside the box. Otherwise, and that's what happened. And the Israelites went out. Why did it go out? And as we say, what we're going to read today, it says in Haggadah, some say only 1/5 left. Some say only 1 part of 50 left. The others, they stayed in Egypt. Can you imagine now? Like this announcement, the Messiah has come, and everybody, he appears in a Times Square. Okay, hey, I've come. Everybody going to Israel. But the kid has to finish university first. How old is he? 2. Okay, that's a joke. That's a very common joke. But we have some stuff. We just bought a new house. We just renovated. We just leave it and come. The majority stayed in Egypt. Who heard about them? No one. They're gone. Down the drain of history. But the ones who got that EMP power, the ones who got that light and came to the place like, let's go change the world forever. Let's create a horizon for mankind of hope, equality, the right to succeed, to manifest not because you're somebody's son, but because that's who you are. That was born on that night. And Pharaoh, get out of my country. Get out. And we got out. And the Zohar says, getting out was not easy. We got out. That night we were very high. But in the morning after, the morning after, there's such a high. We coming out, and the Zohar says, when you are in such a terrible place like Egypt, the biggest concentration camp, your mind is only on one thing: surviving the next hour, the next day. You can't afford thinking about anything else. But the moment you're being released, you start to realize what you went through. You've seen the pictures of the people that were liberated from Auschwitz and Buchenwald and Bergen-Belsen, all of these concentration camps and labor camps. They don't look happy. You're supposed to be happy. You've been liberated. When you're liberated, you start thinking what you went through. And it's not nice. Some of them didn't want to go on living. If that's what humanity is about, what's it worth? How many died after the liberation? Because they started to think, look what happened to our families, our friends, to humanity. What happens to humanity when people have the ability to torture, to kill, to destroy other people's lives, and you have the authority and the legality to do that, and people do it with such excitement. The aftermath is like, if that's what humanity can do, who wants to be part of it? And that's what the Zohar says happened to the Israelites getting out of Egypt. They were broken. They were finished. They started to think what they went through, what people are capable of doing, what cruelty people can do to a foreigner, to their own family. Somebody was in power by policing the Israelites, by authority of the Egyptians. And the Zohar says angels had to go around each one of them to sing them songs, because songs and music have healing powers. Flowers grew up on the road. That was aromatherapy. Little by little, the Israelites started to recuperate. The pillar of cloud was walking in front of the camp during the daytime. The pillar of fire was going in front of the camp at nighttime. Okay? But then, that didn't take a long time, 6 days. On the 6th day, here it is. And it says, we're reading in Exodus 13. Velo nacham Elohim dech eretz plishtim. I'm sorry, this is Exodus 13, verse 17. And God did not take them through the land of the Plishtim, the Philistines. Why? Ki karovu. So there are many, many interpretations. Why? And the answer is very simple, like the simple answer. If you are in Egypt, the Israelites, most commentators agree, they were around the Delta area. They were placed for pasture, for herding, for the cattle, and especially for the sheep. And now, if you look at the map, going from the Delta area of Egypt to Israel, you just go along the shores, okay? Then you go along the shores of the North Sinai, okay, beautiful beach, right? And then you don't go through the Philistines. They were sitting in Gaza Strip. That's where they were sitting. And we never know, by the way, nobody knows what was their name. What was the name they were calling themselves? They were invaders. They invaded from the islands, from Crete, from Sardinia. They invaded because there were some calamities, and they invaded. And the whole world knows their name by the way the Hebrews gave them. What was the name the Hebrews gave them? Plishtim, the invaders. And their country was called Philistia, Pleshet, the country of the invaders. Okay? So, but there was a treaty between Abraham and Elimelech, the king of the Philistines, that they won't fight with each other. So, you don't have to go through Gaza. You continue straight to the east, in the Sinai, all the way to Beersheba, and then up through Hebron, and you're in. Right? But you look at the map. Instead of going to the right, which means instead of going east, straight east, and finding home within 3 days, God took them down south. Why? Because the Red Sea is, you have to cross all along what is today the Suez Canal. There was no canal then. Down the desert, 6 days walk to find the Red Sea as an obstacle. You understand? It was, and it says, Vayasev Elohim etam derech hamidbar, verse 18, and God took them lesovev, around, through the desert. Why? You could cross anywhere else. Why you have to go to the Red Sea? Because they needed to now to step up another way. There was another step in the birth of the free human being. The ability to perform a miracle, which is the ultimate. And let's see what it is. Okay, so they go. Let's just skip. Another thing is, chapter 14. They were just going back and forth a little bit. It looked like they were like lost in the desert. That was a trick. To trick Pharaoh to think that they are lost. They were not lost, but they're waiting. Is he coming or not? And Pharaoh, he bit the bait. He said, they're lost. Let's get him. Revenge. Hello, Pharaoh. Don't you remember what happened 6 days ago? Egypt was gone. Now you're going to take the revenge? Does that sound logical? No. But the same thing. A person takes drugs, finds himself in ER, okay, terrible shape. A few days later, he's depressed. He takes the drugs all over again. Isn't that the same story? Same story, right? The person is, somebody upsets him, he gets angry, he has problem with tantrum, police, whatever, he sits in custody, he's bailed out, okay, he's under like special conditions, and somebody upsets him again. And Pharaoh is like, let's do it again. Right now, you already have, like, you have some record in the police. Doing the second time is worse than the first time. We still do that. You want to tell me that that's not the story of Pharaoh? Why, you don't remember 6 days ago? People don't wait even 6 hours. Okay? So, and they sit where? Pi hachirot. Pi hachirut. Pi hachirut, it's in the opening of freedom. Why the Red Sea is the opening of freedom? Oh, they have to tear the Red Sea. Red Sea? Have you been to the Red Sea? Mm-hmm. It's very blue. Why Red Sea? No, it's not Red Sea. It is, no, Suf, Yam Suf. In Hebrew, it's not a Red Sea. It's a sea of limitation. Sof. You have to tear the sea of limitations. That's what the purpose of this story is about. Why? Pharaoh is very good about limitations. You can't do that. You shouldn't do that. You're not supposed to do that. It's too dangerous to do that. Nobody have ever done that. And if you do that, that's going to be really... Who says all of these excuses not to become the person you're really supposed to become? Your own private little Pharaoh. Chat, chat, chat. You can't, you shouldn't. Why? And sometimes you have good friends, and they help you with that. No, you can't do that. You shouldn't. It's not allowed to do that. Nobody will let you do that, right? So you don't do what you're really supposed to do. Then you kill yourself. Why did I listen to them? Because you listened to your own Pharaoh that allowed you to listen to them. Instead of like, you kidding? That's who am I, and that's what I am, and that's what I'm going to do. If I'm free, I'm supposed to be that kind of a person. Okay. So Pharaoh attacks, and then comes that very famous verse. Verse number 10, chapter 14. Ufaro hikriv. Okay? Translated wrongly in most translations, and Pharaoh approached. But the commentators are saying, approach is v'paro karav, binyan pa'al. Hikriv means to get somebody else closer. Okay? Who did he get close? The Israelites, says the Zohar. Why? As Pharaoh was coming closer with his army, and where are the Israelites right now? On the Red Sea. From one side, big mountains. From the other side, big mountains and the sea. And who is that fourth side? Pharaoh and his army. Revenge. Revenge. Let's kill them all. Okay? So, there's no other way. Ufaro hikriv. Says the Zohar, Paro brought them close to whom? To God. When is it people get close to God? When they're in danger. Correct? When everything is nice, remember the balcony, the porch with the pina colada? Okay, you're not so close. You know, God, it's okay, I'm managing, you can take care of other people. I'm okay. Okay, now, and then it says, it's the whole thing about the prayer. Remember what we said last week? The power of the mouth. What's the strongest way for a person to make a difference with a prayer? And the prayer has to come out of the mouth. What about praying from the bottom of your heart? But you know, you pray deep inside. God doesn't know what I want? Of course he knows. But you need to do an action below, we read last week, in order to awaken an action above. The least is pray. The least, what God doesn't know what I need, of course he knows. But you have to ask for it. You know, doesn't the electric company know that I need light in the house? Of course they know. But you have to turn it on for their electricity to work through your light bulbs. You can't just sit in the light bulb and say, oh, okay, the electric company knows that I need it, why the light is not on? Because that's the way the universe is wired, that we have to turn the switch on. They cannot force it upon you. Same way with the Creator. He cannot force happiness, good luck, good fortune, everything good upon us. We have to turn it on. We have to put the fixture, we have to turn it on, and we have to be there to receive the pleasure. That's how this world is wired. Why? You were created in the image of God, so you want to do it on your own? Okay? So please do. The least is say, I want. Okay? So they were praying, they got closer. Looks like that was not enough. Why? Pharaoh is getting closer. And the Israelites raise their eyes and they see in horror Pharaoh traveling after them. But he was traveling in a, coupe, carriages, wagons with horses, like, and they got really scared, so they scream to God. Do you understand what happened here? It's the first time they pray to God. It's like, finally. You don't pray to someone you don't believe in his existence. And that was not praying, that was screaming. Who do you scream to? To someone you really know is there. You don't scream to nothing. Okay? Okay? Although there was a kind of a doubt over there coming out. Why did we told you, Moses, it was better we stayed in Egypt. Why we came over here? You know, that's the two reactions. Not everybody reacts the same way. Some people in time of challenge, they pray to God, they walk on it, and some people say like, let's raise our hands and say, Pharaoh, we're going back, we'll be your slaves forever, forget it. You know, forgive us that what we did was horrible. Take us back to be your slaves so you can kill us, step on us, abuse us, whatever. Don't we have that kind of Pharaoh inside us? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay? Moses' answer is to the people, don't worry, stand over here. You'll see God's salvation. Whatever is going to be done today, because the way you see Egypt right now, you'll never see them ever. It's over for them. Hashem yilachem lachem v'atem tacharishun. Hashem will fight for you. You keep quiet. Why didn't we say we're supposed to pray? You prayed. It's okay. You just did it. It was the first time in history that a nation prays to God. Before that, people prayed to the gods. They didn't pray. They were asking to leave them alone. Here they're praying to Youdkevitch, praying to the God of love, to the God of mercy, to the God of loving kindness, the God of chesed. Never happened in history that a nation thought that there is a God like this, that the God is like this. Do you understand? When a person right now, all over the world, is praying to the loving, endless God, it started here. It took 10 plagues. It took walking in the desert for 6 days for them to wake up. To pray in hope. To pray in certainty there's somebody listening. It didn't exist before. We think it's normal that people in trouble, they pray to God and they know God will listen to them because He's a loving God. There was no consciousness like this. The deliverance was a deliverance of that consciousness. But since that consciousness was born, is it very simple? Does everybody believe that there's a God like this? Especially in pain? How many people pray to God like the ancients prayed to their gods? You know, please don't hurt me. I'll give you an offering, a sacrifice. I'll be miserable. I'm giving up all the happiness of my life. Just let me live. I'll give you my child. I'll give you my money. It's like God needs all of the stuff you have, right? Where did he get it, by the way, from? From Him. And He's endless. So, if you take away something from, let's say you got $1 billion from God. Does He have 1 million less? No, He's endless. Hello? He doesn't need your stuff. Okay? So you can't appease Him by giving Him some bribery. Right? You have to, being monotheist means that you have to understand that stuff. So why do you have to give Him anything? He doesn't need anything from us. Okay? He doesn't need us to sacrifice. Remember that? Mm-hmm. But praying to Hashem, praying to Youdkevitch, was the first time ever in history that a nation prays, a collective really prays. Prays to that entity that created the universe with love, and kindness, and has nothing else but love for its creatures. Do you understand how important is that? History from that moment changed forever. That option did not exist before. Only for these great souls, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The rest of the world had no way to even understand what it is mean, as we explained in the previous parashot. And then, Vayomer Hashem el Moshe, Ma titzak elai. So God is saying to Moses, what are you yelling at me? Daber el bnei Yisrael ve'isau. Talk to the children of Israel and let them travel. And here comes like an enormous important, like the biggest gift of this parasha. The biggest of them all. And he said, because here it sounds so, we said that was a huge revolution in the history of mankind, that people pray to the God, to a loving God, to an endless God, to the God of mercy that believes in us. They're just waiting for us to pray because he can't force it upon us, because there's no coercion in spirituality. And there's a rule of bread of shame. You can't just get it for nothing. You have to ask for it. Okay? So why now? What are you yelling at me? Okay, you did the yelling. It's okay. Next stage. There's another level. He says, Daber ma titzak elai. Why are you yelling at me? Daber bnei Yisrael ve'isau. Talk to the children of Israel and let them travel. And here comes the second biggest gift in history of mankind. In the Zohar, Perush Sulam, section of BeShalah, section 88. And it's a quote from the book of Jonah. And it says, and Jonah, Yonah, the prophet, he ran away from God. Can't run away from God. But he thought he could. May say he didn't really run away from God, but he knew when you get away from Israel, you lose prophecy. It's a different prophecy outside of Israel. He thought getting out didn't help him. He had to be spit to come back. But meanwhile, he was thrown from the boat, and a big fish swallowed him. And that fish died. Now, can you imagine? He's inside the fish. Miraculously, he's alive. He feels the other fish starting to bite on his host, right? And he's praying. Finally, he's praying. And what does it say? He's praying, Vayitpelel Yonah el Hashem Elokav. And Jonah is praying to God, his Lord, to Hashem, his God, his Lord, whatever it is, Hashem Elokav, his God. And the Zohar says, what do you mean? What do you mean, his God? And the Zohar says, when a person is in distress, he calls to the place he figures out that is God. Why did we call in the beginning that we call it the book of Shemot, the book of names? Because every person gives his God a name. What does it mean, his God? I'll give again. There's an amazing story of Rabbi Ashlag, the author of the big commentary on the Zohar. What does he say? He says, once upon a time in that country, okay, a man was caught because he spat in the picture of the king. Okay? He was sentenced, of course, to death. Okay? What was your last wish? The lawyer says, please, Your Highness, Your Majesty, can I show you the picture? Okay? And he brings the picture, and the king that just sentenced this guy to death realizes, that's not my picture. Case dismissed. He didn't spit in that king's face picture. he spat in another picture, somebody else's picture. And Rabbi Ashlag is saying, what kind of a picture do you have inside yourself of God? Who created that picture? Your teacher in the kindergarten? Your teacher in elementary school? Your parents? What kind of theological education did they have to be able to bring you to the right picture? And so Rabbi Ashlag is saying the picture most people have about God, I would split it also. Because most people's picture of God is something that was created by their own logic and the stories and what they learned in whatever environment they were raised. And most people's picture is not so clear. And that's why we have to go through all kinds of journeys till we clear the picture and we really can connect to the true God. It's not that the God is changing. Our perception is changing. So our connection is changing. So when you pray to the wrong God, you pray to a God that, you want him to kill the Egyptians. That's not the God we're talking about. There's an amazing story in the Midrash saying after the split of the Red Sea, and the Israelites passed by, and the Egyptians drowned, and the Israelites started to sing the song of the Red Sea, the song. And the angels are dancing with the Israelites, and there's such a party in heaven. And suddenly the angels realize that God is sitting in his throne, and he doesn't look very happy. And angels go to God and say, God, aren't you happy? That look at the party, join the party. And God's answer is, Ma'asei yadai tov'im bayam v'atem omrim shira. My creatures are drowning in the sea and you're sinking. The Egyptians are also my kids, my children, they're also mine. How could I be sinking? I'm everybody's God. Even the Egyptians, those bad guys that killed the Jews and stuff like that, I'm also their God. How could I be happy? Teaching us a little thing about, we're so excited to kill the Egyptians. They're also God's creatures. Just again, isn't the Torah teaching us that one day Messiah will come and all the bad guys will die? No. Harish'a kula ki ashan tichle. Evil will disappear as smoke. Right. Evil as a noun, not people. The job of this world is to transform people. Isn't that the whole thing that we learn if you study Kabbalah, that the whole purpose of human beings is to transform the bitterness into sweet? To transform the darkness into light, not to kill it, not to eliminate it. There's no evil. It's only a disguise. It's good that it is not ripe yet. Because otherwise, you don't believe in a one endless God that is all good. Because if he's all good, how does he allow this and this and this to happen? This and this that happened, this is part of the process. It finally will come out good. Praying to such a God is the first stage. And the Israelites did pray to this God. But the next stage was God's answer. Jonah was praying to the God that he figured out. It was his perception. But the Zohar is saying, but there is another way. He prayed to the level he was at. And you know what? The Israelites were also praying to that level. That level is the level of Sfirat Tiferet. What is Tiferet? Central column. Okay? Central column is the main universal law running our lives, which means there's always balance. You take, you have to give back. You break, you have to fix. You messed up, you have to put it back into order. Tit for tat. That's how this world works. That's our logic. You did something wrong, you have to make amends. Tikkun, it's called tikkun. You have to make tikkun. You have to fix them. That's what we're here for. Isn't it? Sometimes, not all the times. Logic says, yes, there is that logic, and all the Torah almost is about that logic. There's a law of cause and effect, right? There's a law of attraction. There's a law that says, do not kill, do not steal, do not... There's a law. And there are consequences if you do that. Don't put your finger in the socket. Why? Don't do that. Not good for you. Okay? That is praying to Hashem. Youdkevitch. But you know, inside, in between the lines, there's another midrash. When the Israelites are going to cross the sea, the angels are coming to God and saying, hey, you want them to split the sea? What's different between them and the Egyptians? The Israelites, they're not after years and years of studying Torah, meditating, connecting, learning, doing charity, Shabbat. Neither of that. They just left Egypt 6 days ago. How could they deserve splitting the Red Sea? And the answer is, they don't. So how could that happen? How could that happen? And that's why God said, Hashem says to Moses, don't scream at me. I can't help you over here. Why? Because that midah of tiferet, that attribute, that level, which most of Jewish law is about, cause and effect. Deserving, don't deserving. You paid your bread of shame, you didn't pay. You paid, there's a gain, right? Yagata umatzata, you work hard, you found it. Okay? There's a reward for every hard work. There was no hard work over there. Nobody had time to work. When you're a slave, you can't do any mitzvot. You don't have any journey of spirituality. You are being processed, not by choice. It's a process that you go through as a slave. You have no free will. You're a slave. How could they earn right now such a big miracle? Impossible. So brings the Zohar of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Yes, just think about it. If you go about the Torah, the law, the way it is, we are in the year 5780. You look around. Look at the people that you know. And you ask yourself, do you really believe that these people can reach the level of real spiritual awareness? You look at society with materialism and all the stupidity and all the fake everything. Fake love and fake family and fake society and fake everything is fake. Fake pleasure, fake money, fake houses, fake. It's all fake. Fake faces, fake everything is fake. And you think, when would that happen? And do you know? You're not the first one who can ask that, because that was asked along history again and again. There's a way to go by, cause and effect and consequences, and there's another way. One way, yes, is going by the rule of central column. Yes, but there's another one. And that's what the Zohar is talking about. Mati Tzakelai, the Youdkevitch is telling God, don't turn to me, I can't help you right now. Ubediuk, don't pray to my midah. Why? You guys are not worthy of having any miracle. You guys, if you had any miracles rewarded, that was spent in 10 plagues in Egypt. Okay? No one owes you anything. So what base? And he says, you have to connect to Mazala. What is Mazala? Oh, the Zohar is teaching us there's another system of rules. This system is called Mazala. It's coming from the Hebrew word nozel, when the bliss, and it's called also Atik. Be'atika talia milta. Atik, what's Atik? You know antique in English? Antique means very, very, very ancient. You know where it's coming from? It's coming from the Hebrew word to la'atik, to relocate. When the light of the Creator, which is endless, unlimited, starts relocating itself down to the world of the vessel, the first illumination, the first stage is called Atik. Why is it ancient? Because there's no more ancient than that, because that's a beginning of something. Before that, there was nothing we can... Endless. What do I mean endless? Infinite. Nothing we can understand, because we can understand only finite things, things that are determined by any kind of, okay, definition. Definition is for the word finite. Okay? So that place, the first drop of that place coming down to the world that was created, that's called Atik. It's like the Creator by himself relocating himself. Kind of. Okay, it's not. But there's something relocating into of our world that we can understand. That midah, that attribute, that state of mind, when you reach that, this is the seed of everything. That's where everything leaks from. Not luck, leak. That's mazal. That level has a number, 78. Mazala. Because it's the seed, it's where everything sprouts from. That's a seed of all seeds. What's there? Only one thing. Love, giving, sharing unconditionally. No judgment. What does it mean, no judgment? There's no rule of cause and effect over there. There's only one rule. We were created to receive the light, and the light will be given to us. Period. No other rules. This is the highest level. When people reach that level, everything is possible. Because that's the level, every screen, every script in the history of mankind, every private individual, all the scripts are coming from that place. You don't like the script? You can borrow another script from that library, the antique library. Everything is there. There's another script. Just get the script. You have to go to Atik, to that trip, to that script. And therefore, section 89. Hainu, daber bnei Yisrael, talk to the children of Israel, let them travel. Hainu, sheis'u milarbot dvarim, stop praying to me. Stop talking to me. You're too much words. Limiting. Enzman, it's not time for prayer. Pharaoh is closed. He's going to kill you guys. No time for prayer. You have now to take off. Ve'isau, לאיזה מקום ציווה אותו שיסעו? Travel, let them travel. Travel where? הרי על הים היו שורים, they were standing on the sea. Travel where? You can't travel 3 million people in the sea. No way. Logic says no way. ומשיב אל הסובב למעלה, he said no, travel upwards. Ela sovev lemala. Travel upwards. There's another position to a human mind. There's another rule of behavior. There's another system. This system is called atik. This system is called mazala. The moment they connected to that place, everything is possible. The human brain is like an airplane. There are two means of transportation an airplane is using: wheels and wings, correct? Mm-hmm. Just try to travel with wheels, God forbid. That will be a disaster, okay? Wheels are only to just go around in the airport and to reach enough speed for takeoff. Then airplanes go with wings. Same thing. The human brain has two positions: logical, Hashem, cause and effect, right and wrong, justice and injustice, all of that. But we're not here to travel with that, teaches Rabbi Shimon. All of this is just to get you to take off. Take off to where? To Atika. We were standing there on the shores, and Moses and God is saying, guys, it's time for the next level. Take off. It's take off time. If there is a God, an endless loving God, there is a solution for that. What's the solution? It's out of the box. Don't even think a logical solution. And then Moses hears, split the sea. Splitting what? Split the sea. What do you mean to split the sea? I don't have this app. Take your staff, split the sea. So who splits the sea? Moses and the Israelites. When you come to that place, that you know that God's love is so infinite, you're not going around with like, but I was a sinner, but I was never perfect. You just connect to one thing: God's love is endless, unconditional, and connect to that. Forget about the rest. Connect to that. And another thing, God is vested in me so much. He brought me to that place for what? Just to die? To fail? I have to move forward. So Moses, the legend says, hits the sea, and he sees the sea split. He tells the people, go. They don't see it. They don't see it. They don't know what to do. And Nachshon ben Aminadav, Moses' brother-in-law, he was the husband of Miriam, the head of the tribe of Judah, he says, if Moses said the sea is split, the sea is split. We're going. And he jumped. And everybody after him. And when the whole nation jumped after him, they went through. Why? There's no way God is going to throw us under the bus. We're going. And that split the sea. That state of mind, like no accounting. But I was, I hurt my parents when I was a kid, and I you know what, and who knows, maybe I hurt some person when I was not nice to them. Enough. Do you think that God is doing this accounting? Take off time. Move it. You're not going to be ever perfect. You're a human being. But connecting to that level of atik, this is the perfection. In spite, and because who we are, humans, flesh and blood, we all like infected with desires that are pharaoh, whatever you call it, ego and anger and that. So what? Take off time. When you do that take off time, everything is possible. And in that moment, you assume position. as God's partners in the creation. Simply do it. Go for it. Don't look backwards. But, don't but me. That's the whole thing. Don't but me. It's not time for buts. Go for it. But I'm God. I'm telling you. I created you to make that happen. Go. And then the sea was split. There's a story I like to tell about the Baal Shem Tov. He was with his students. They were traveling. They came to this, was as usual in the winter, everything was frozen. They were in a cave, it was dark, they were studying. He said, but there's no light. And the Baal Shem Tov says, take the icicles and light them. And they said, Rabbi, hello, these are icicles. And he said, whoever told the oil to burn will tell the ice to burn. Who said ice cannot burn? The movie, the rules that were defining that oil can burn came from a tick. You can pull another rule that says that ice can burn. It burned the whole night. And they had a lovely party. Okay? This is the consciousness we're talking about. The sea was split. What's in it for us? Can we really believe that we can do that? History is full of people making miracles, making the impossible happen, just because they believed in the good, just because they trusted the good, just because they connected to the good. They said, if there is a God and He's only loving, my logic says no, but something deep inside, I know it has to be a yes. So we go. And that's how humanity grows. Those quantum leaps of humanity is those moments of atik, those moments of mazala. And what did we say mazala is? Mazala is when you take the name of God, Youdkevitch, 3 times, right, left, and center, 26 each. 26 is love 1, ahava echad, 13. Too much? Echad is 13, love 1 is 13, unity. Love is 13. Both of them together 26. That's the tetragrammaton. 3 of them, 26 times 3, that's 78. That's a Godhead. What year are we at? 5780. He started a decade of fulfilling of wishes. Just let go and let God. That's it. There's no time anymore. It's 5780. We're already close to the end. We have to cross the sea. He can't just go on with the counting. No time for that. 5780 years passed by already. We have to jump to do what's impossible, to believe in the impossible, to believe the impossible is the only possible thing. That's our calling. That's our calling. And how do we do that? So that's the story of the 72 names. To split the Red Sea, there's a story of 3 verses in Exodus 14, number 19, 20, and 21. Now, each of the 3 is starting with a Vav. So the 3 initials is 3 Vav. What's 3 Vav? Remember what the Israelites did on the doorpost before the plague? Vav, Vav, and Vav. That's the letter Hey. But it's made of 3 Vavs. Bang. How does the Torah start? With the letter Bet. How do you write a Bet? Vav, Vav, Vav. Vav is 6. 3 times 6, 6 gets you 18. Chai, the essence of life. This is life. When you make that leap and life flows through you, everything is possible. Everything is possible. You just have to leap over to that place of really believing, and it's not believing, it's not even trusting. It's like taking off beyond believing and trusting, knowing, connecting that there is one loving, endless God and nothing but Him. And even my stuyot, my little nonsense, cannot stop His light from flowing through. Okay? Because when there's a flood of that light, everything is possible. And don't start making, but I did this and I did this. Yes, everybody did. So, now what? You want to tell that He can do it? He of course can do it. You just keep quiet. Let it go. The 72 names are one way by scanning the 72 names and asking deep inside for that place. That's where we get the leap. This is one way. But we said last week, you need to draw that light from the above. So that light is a starter, right? It enlightens you, redeems you, and allows you to follow and to the next level of total, simply like gliding on the wave of light. Where? Who cares? It's going to be great. Who cares? We crossed the sea. Didn't we know where we're going to? No, but we didn't care anymore. It was so much light. You're not full with this accounting little stuff. Where are we going? Is going to be enough food? Is going to be enough water? Are we going to be safe? How's going to be the weather? I'm going to get a nice room in the hotel. Maybe not. Hello. When you're connected to the endless light, it's always 10,000 times better than whatever you could imagine in your wildest, best dreams. Why? Why stopping that from happening? It's so pity. So, when we went through that, so we read the song of the sea, says Rabbi Ezekloria, every day with happiness, because we want to awaken, because you know the power of a song. You don't have to explain a song, right? You don't have to explain. Song, music, and logic, they don't go together. Logic is words. Why singing the song? And also the way, if you see in the Torah, the way the song of the Red Sea is written, so different. So different when the way the rest of the Torah is written. When the Torah is written, there are columns, columns, columns. And the Zohar says, the black letters are the vessel. The white parchment is the light. It's black fire written on white fire. But when it's a song of the Red Sea, you see how it's spread. There's so much white and so little dark. That's what music is. When you're carried away with a good spiritual music, you can lose yourself. You can really lose the pity, the counting, and simply take off. When you read the song of the Red Sea and you scan the 72 names, you just give the message, connect the message, it's time for takeoff. Okay? So that's one thing. But how do we get that? So there's another thing. We know we spoke about it last week. The Israelites had to draw in the light to be able to have a liftoff. Okay? You need the light to bring in so you can lift off. Correct? There's another one that is very, very important over here. Because you know the whole Torah, standing 1 foot, is love others as you love yourself. There's this most amazing story of Rabbi Shlomo Carlebach. One day he walked by the streets of Tel Aviv and he sees that street cleaner that has a shining face like a tzaddik. And he walked over to him and he said, "Can I ask you who you are?" "I'm Shlomo Carlebach. Who are you?" He says, "My name is this and that." He says, "Where are you from?" He says, "I'm from a community called Piasetna." Rabbi Shlomo is asking, did you know the Rabbi of BeShalah? I'm one of his disciples. I learn his stuff. He's my mentor. He died in the camps, in the concentration camps, but he says, I was in his community. I was a kid. And he said, so tell me something you learned from him. And he said, yes, when we were dancing around the Rabbi as kids, and then he was talking to us, and he said, remember, kids, the biggest thing in the world, nothing bigger than that, is to do something good for someone else. Never forget that. He said, the day they took my family to Auschwitz, and I was in the barracks, it was night, and I realized everyone in my family was killed already. I was the last one left. And I was devastated. I didn't see any reason to live anymore. And I wanted to kill myself. And suddenly I heard the voice of the Rabbi saying, the most important thing you can do is do something good for someone. So, where is a better place to do something good to someone than Auschwitz? There were so many people who needed a comfort to listen to, somebody to hold their hands. So that's what I did. And that's how I saved. That gave me the power to survive. So when we do, what does it mean, doing something good for someone? When you do something good to someone, you give yourself away. Because you can't do good to someone without giving of yourself. And when you give of yourself, it's because you trust the light that there will be more to give. And you force the mazala to pour down at you because you give of yourself. And that's what this parasha is about, because the next story is the story of the Manna. I'm sorry, there was another story. 3 days later, after the splitting of the Red Sea, it says, Vayasam Moshe et ha'am, and Moses forced the Israelites to move. Who wants to go away? We've been like, wow, can you imagine 3 million people singing together without karaoke? Everybody knows the music, everybody without exercising. Everybody was in a level of prophecy higher than Ezekiel, the prophet, when he saw the chariot of God. That's why everybody sang together. Nobody wants to go. You have to move on. We went on and we came, the Torah says, to a place. Because this is very important. We came to that place. There were 12 tribes and, 12 springs and 70 date palms. Why do we care how many, whatever was there? Because the Kabbalists are teaching, they're coming to a place of 12, what are the 12 springs? These are the 12 tribes that are supposed to be, how do you call the tribes also? Mazalot, right? Each one represents one of the zodiac signs, but in Hebrew you don't say zodiac, you say mazal. Pulling bliss from above. And what are the 70 trees over there? These are the 70 nations. When they get fed the water of the 12 tribes, everything is one big system. Everything ticks, everything functions. The world comes to peace. But they don't have water to drink from, and each one is by himself. Wow, each one goes directions and the world is into chaos. Why is that important right now? Because everything is one system, you have to remember that. When you are making the leap, the whole world is being affected by that. But that's not enough. Now they're coming to another place. I'm sorry, I skipped a little story. They come before that, they come to a place called Mara. Mara means bitter. Why? Because the water were bitter. Everybody is like, what happened? We could have been dead in Egypt, it would be less costly. Why? Burial was for free in Egypt. Okay? Moses is screaming. God is showing him a tree. What tree? Tree of life. Tree of life, he throws it into the water, which means, yes, you went through different miracles. Does that mean that you have to stop turning the bitter into sweet? The darkness into light? That's our calling. That's what we're here for. The more you're trained doing that, make my day. Give me another opportunity. Give me another option. Let me create another space of light out of darkness. This is the spiritual journey. Things will get bitter. The fact that you go through, whoa, amazing. Okay, here's another one. And another one. And we're not supposed to get tired. We're supposed to get excited. Because every time we do that, we get stronger, better, and closer to our goal. Right? That's why these stories follow each other. And then there's another one. No food. And they pray, and they got the manna from heaven. The manna is about emunah. Amen. What is that? It's the trust, the knowing. And it says it's all about bliss. It's all about giving bliss and nurturing. And what Rabbi Zohar is saying, Yesh amefazer v'nosaf od. The one who gives away will get more. Why? Again, if you want, you see yourself in a dark place, it means there's no light. The strongest way to bring the light in is do something good to someone else. Because you force the light in when you give the light away. With that manna consciousness. The manna consciousness was like this. They collected the manna. If they collected more than they needed for one day, whatever was left rotted, stink, worms, terrible. The whole camp was thinking from that. And Moses was screaming, what are you doing? I told you to take only for today. You'll have enough for tomorrow. But came 6th day. And they came home and there was double the amount. They said, Moses, how come the double the amount? You told us not. They said, tomorrow is Shabbat. No manna. You got today twice. Oh, that's another leap of faith. One leap of faith, you have enough for today. Another leap of faith is you're not working on Shabbat and you'll have enough on Friday to cover up for Shabbat. Trust, trust, trust. It's all about trust. You want to be rich, really rich. You know how many people I know that were so rich, so poor. They were never enough. It was never enough. It doesn't matter how much they had, it was never enough. So much pity. What a waste. Well, there are people who had so little and they were so rich. They always had enough when they needed to give to someone else. They always had enough. Who's richer? The one who has nothing, but the moment he needs to give, he has the ability to give with all his heart or her heart. Or the person has so much, and because they never have enough, they can never give anyone. They can only take. What a curse. This is what BeShalah is about. That's about what freedom is about. That's what living is about. Thank you.